Yeah, so what we're doing is we're making it fluid. Do you see how when I change the size of this one, it crunches down to a certain point and then it won't crunch down anymore. Now that's done with in our CSS by assigning a minimum size, minimum width, and a maximum width. And we'll look at that in the so we can see this here. That's exactly how that's happening there with a minimum width and a maximum width. That allows us, because this is the context support, we're looking at that now. That allows us to do this crunch thing where we can go down. When it gets to 500, it won't get any smaller, right? All that'll happen now is it sort of hides the window. And it won't get any bigger than, was it 1,000 or 800? So if I stretch out the window to make the window wider, but our container doesn't get any wider, all that happens is we've got this background where we set the background color to gray, and so that our container is sitting on that background, and that background gets bigger, but our container doesn't. And that's done in here with this max and mid width, max width and min width. So that's for, if you looked at the actual, so that's in the CSS. If you looked in the body, all of these divs, container and all the other divs were set up for you. I don't think you need to do these, all right? Because we've done that in previous labs, and that should be in the distribution. So the work that you have to do today is basically fixing your CSS. And a lot of that CSS you've already got, right? You don't have to fix the H1, the table. I think, okay, the table, you might have to adjust the width. All right, you might have to put that 100% width on the table. So today's exercise is just working with the widths. So things where you have a width, we're not going to be doing widths in, got a couple here with the margins, but mostly you'll see some of the picks will go away, and instead we're going to have percents show up, and we have this min and max. All right, so that's, let's look at some of the other ones there. So that was contact support. Let's look at the practice, and I'll open it in Visual Studio Code as well. It takes a while to open. Oh my gosh, that can't be right. Oh, sorry, that was something else. Product. Okay, so practice is just a nonsense file. That's why it looks dumb. Sorry about that. That was something I did in class with the students yesterday, so we don't want that. This one. All right, so what happens with this one is it's a little bit different. What I want you to notice is look at the size of the image and look at the size of the text. Okay, so as we change the size of the window, do you see that the image is actually getting smaller? Okay, so that's happening in this one. And so that's done. The product details. So what we got, if we look at our image is, where's that? Product photo. There's an idea, the image is actually inside a div, and we're forcing that div to be 25% of the container that it's in, which is for the whole page. And so as we make the page smaller, the column in which the picture is found is always 25%. But look at the photo. The photo is set, instead of being set to a pix, it's set to a percent. And so it stays the same size in this. The photo is inside this div called product photo. And as we crunch down the size of that, it crunches down the photo, and that's done with those two things there. So that might be interesting to you. The product details also has its width set to 25. So if I go back and look at that again, where was that? That was hold on, probably no. I'll just do it from here. If I look at it again, so have a look at product details. There's no words underneath there. Yeah, actually, I don't really see. It's not so obvious, the changing of the sizes, but it is more obvious in this other one. So let's look at the product list. I'm going to open that, and I'm going to open it in code as well, and so we can see what's happening here. Now this one, please have a look at the text size here and have a look at the text size here as we change the size of the window. So as the window gets smaller, do you see that the fonts actually get smaller? Okay, and then again, you can see we've got a max and a min width applied. The max and min width is applied to all three of these files. So that kind of works. So you can see the max width. We can make this as wide as we like, but the page never gets more than, I think this one might be 1,000. It's 1,000 or 800 or whatever. Yeah, and then the other one, it can't be any small. It'll get smaller, but again, it won't get any smaller than probably 500 or something like that. And so, yeah, well, we can see that here, right? Yeah, you're right. 1,600. And so we've got some things that we work with the margins on there. Look at the image. We set the width of that to auto, and we've got some other thing here that we're allowing the image to change with the size of the container that it's in. And so that's what this is. The 20 actually is a percent. I was asked about that by the students in the last class, and so I took this from W3 Schools. You can navigate to it there, but there's an image of it. And what does these things mean? Like VW is one, for every number in front of the VW, each number is 1%. So 20 VW means 20% of the width or 20% of the height. VW is the width, VH is the height. And so that's what that's meaning in here, right? So 20% of the width, the height is going to be fixed as a percentage of the width. And so that works kind of well with that percentage. Now, the other thing that's happening in there, we see in the product class. So if you look in your HTML, you'll see that your product class, there you go. The product class, we've got a div times 6 that are set as a class product. And when we look at them in the, sorry, I have to do this every time because I've got so much stuff going on in my work. When we look at them here, each one of these boxes with the dots around it, that is a product div. And so they are all styled. What do? They take up 31% of the width of the container in which they sit, which is this page. So they take up 31% of that. The remaining 2% is going to be the kind of channels in between them. And so that's how that is achieved. So even when we try and crunch them down, and again, this is affected by the 1,000 pixel max and the 600 pixel min, but they are maintaining their percentage of the width of the page. And so that's how they stay together. And I mean, I think I'm going to stop at that point because that's more or less it. Now, everything that's in the body, I think you've already got all of that. There's nothing new in the body. You just have to make sure that all of your files are in the right place. What we've done here is maybe the text decoration is new, and I've got a point about text decoration if you want to see. There's an example there. So text decoration could have underline, overline, that type of thing. And so we're just not doing anything with the text. I hope you did see a second ago that text, we were able to make it smaller or bigger depending on what's happening with the size of the window. And that's kind of done here, right? In the description, we make the font size 1.5% of the width of the container of what it's in. And so that's why, and sorry, I know I'm repeating myself, but that's why just look at the font, see how small it is there. And as we make the window bigger, the actual font size changes. And so that's done by making the font a percentage of the width of the container in which it sits. Instead of saying the font is so many pics, we say it's a percentage of the width of the window in which it sits. I think that's kind of about it for what we wanted to